3 3/4. So we got another episode of Movies in Minutes, and this week I have my friend Elise on, who I can honestly say I think you're going to be the most opinionated, honest person I've ever had on. We're 11 episodes deep, so I mean it's not nothing. I mean, there's 11 other people that were like very like, and you're going to be like, I hate this, I hate this, and maybe I like this. But before we get started, I always ask the people I have on what type of movies they like, especially considering we recently had a conversation that very easily confused me on what type of movies you might like.
So I will watch any type of movie, whether or not I like them, questionable.
Yeah, right.
I do prefer comedy movies to most.
Okay.
Superhero movies are all right. Hit or miss. I hate horror movies.
Yeah. So, like, if you had to pick a comedy that you could just put on a million times, what would it be?
Liar, Liar.
That is a good one, especially because Jim Carrey is very like physical comedy. So they're like, I remember that too. He like throws himself around in the bathroom. Like, what are you doing? I'm kicking my ass.
Yep.
But then he still has to say yes when they ask him if he can go on.
Yeah.
Very good one. That movie used to make me really. That's like top 2 Jim Carrey movies for me. But that one always made me sad as a kid because my dad was him in that movie. Like, would always say we were gonna do stuff and then would go work. So you like comedies and superhero movies are all right. So I think the last movie I gave you today is one of those, and I guess we'll get to that.
A little different.
What? Yeah, a little. Well, I mean, it's in the vein of, I guess I would say. So every week, for anybody who's never watched before, my guest gets 3 trailers. They watch them, they get their, they form their opinions, and we talk about it. So that way, everybody who's not a crazy person like me and runs and sees everything can hear from somebody, who is a normal person and sees what they want, on a normal basis, and we get a little dialogue going because of it. So what was the first trailer that I gave you for today?
What's Love Got to Do with It?
Okay. Yeah. So what do you think that one was about after watching that?
It sounds like a reporter follows a friend who's doing an arranged marriage. Indian culture, it would appear. Do you want like my actual opinion on the trailer or?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay. So I personally love to I read a lot. I love to read about books with other cultures in it because I love learning about other cultures. So I love getting the glimpse into another culture with it being modern too, because there's lots of movies about arranged marriages from 80s and prior to that, but I haven't seen anything really modern about it. So I'm hoping it'll be a decent glimpse into the Indian culture and how they do arranged marriages now.
Yeah.
It looks like the movie's basically about the writer though, writing about the arranged marriage.
I mean, we definitely follow her story because, it's through her lens. But I mean, it's probably a fair 50-50 split between her and the person she's doing the documentary on.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like she'll have a self-discovery coming around. And I'm a sucker for a good love story, so I probably would watch that one.
What? That was not on the list that you just gave me.
No, I am hopeless romantic. But
Okay.
I usually don't watch them because, I'm single and I'm no, thanks.
I like to think, even when I see those movies when I'm single, if anything, that it kind of reminds you of what you want when you're not single. But fun fact, I don't know if we've ever discussed this, but I had an arranged marriage set up for me when I was 21 because so the culture in this movie was Pakistani, which is very similar to Indian. I mean, they were the same country up until 1956. But so it's like modern day Pakistani arranged marriages, and the name now is assisted marriage because they try to give the child or the person being arranged marriage some input. I will say 12 years ago they still hadn't quite caught up to that because there was zero input for mine, which is why I refused it, because I didn't want to marry a complete stranger.
Oh.
So for me particularly, this one kind of hit home a little bit. Where do you like, just from what you saw and kind of like what you kind of told me, where do you think the movie goes? Like, you know, you get the glimpse, like trailers always give you a peek in, but they obviously, they don't want to tell you the whole story because they want you to figure that out for yourself. But, based on what you saw, where do you think it kind of leads to?
Well, so it looks like
Mhm.
they don't show very much after like them
Mm.
meeting, which
Yeah.
is what hard to answer that question, but it did look like they were happier like on camera together towards the end in a few spots.
Yeah.
So like maybe the actual marriage itself went well, but it looks
Mhm.
like it looked to me like the writer was so confused about what love was towards the end. Like maybe because movies always have like that one spot where you're supposed to go like, oh my God, I didn't think that would happen. I
Right.
imagine that's like the writer's part and not the actual arranged marriage part
Yeah.
or assisted
I, I
marriage.
I think the whole point of the documentary too, I mean, and I thought this before I watched it anyway, was most people go about love and relationships in the traditional way of, you're trying to meet somebody, get to know them, that sort of thing. So for somebody to look at it from the perspective of your parents are going to help you choose this person and look for things that you might not look for because you're looking at it with one set of eyes, and they're looking at it with another set of eyes, can be jarring, right? You're like, oh, that's weird. I don't want my parents helping pick the person I'm gonna like marry, have sex with, whoever. Um, do you think that that's like maybe part of like why you think that, like, about like whether or not they get married or not?
No, because
Yeah.
honestly,
Mhm.
I think that love grows between people. Like when people say
Right.
love at first sight, I don't think that's a thing. Like you could be attracted to someone, but
Mhm.
I think love grows between people once the trust
Mhm.
is built and stuff like that. So I
Mhm.
think arranged marriages or assisted marriages could potentially work as long as
Mhm.
both people are committed to making it work.
So they give an interesting statistic in the movie, which I'm sure isn't too far off from what we have here. But the movie is set in the UK versus the US, and they said that the arranged marriage divorce rate was 6% versus the traditional marriage divorce rate being 54%, at least as of last year when it took place. And I heard that number and I thought it was like wild because, like, on the one hand I agree that it grows, but on the other hand, like, you tie yourself to somebody that you may have like total zero compatibility with. I mean, like, you could just say I don't want to like do this and then like walk away, and that means 94% of the people that put themselves in that situation don't do that.
Right. Because I think, well, they come in
Mm-hmm.
thinking I have to get to know this person and I
Mm-hmm.
have to grow a relationship with them. I think
Mm-hmm.
when people are you're more open to being vulnerable and as well as bending when
Mm-hmm.
you know you're coming into a situation like that, rather
Yeah.
than like when people choose each other and they think they know each other really well and then they live
Mm-hmm.
together after they get married and then they're like, oh, I hate this person.
uh
Like you're
uh
not coming into it with as open of a mind to say like, I don't know this person well enough to know how they're going
right.
to live, how they're going to
Mm-hmm.
act, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to learn and work around it.
Well, and that's a really progressive way to be. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if as many people that go into arranged marriages do it that way. I have to imagine that some part of it's like a feeling of obligation. Like, my parents and your parents like pushed us together, and if we don't make this work, we're gonna make everybody look bad. Um, but I like your way. I like your way better. Um, so big burning question: would you see this?
Probably. It's probably the only one I would say is higher than the other two for going to see.
Ooh. All right. Well, the follow up to that, and I mean, like, in this day and age, the answer has been no a lot more than it's been yes in terms of my guests ever since I started this. But would you go to the theater to see it?
I don't go to the movie theater really. I usually
Mm-hmm.
rent things on like Amazon Prime when they come out.
Right. And I mean, that's fair. It's so we're in this weird like place where movies have about, I mean, unless it's like a big blockbuster, they've got about like a 3-week window now. It feels like within a few weeks, you got it on digital. You could like hit the rent/buy button. I saw Renfield in the middle of April, and it's like everywhere now.
Yeah.
But the only caveat to that is if you're gonna watch it from home, I mean, like the at home like new rentals are like $25. You would still do that?
I have, yeah.
Mm, all right. What was the
Just to
last one
do
you
it
did
from
that?
the comfort of my own home.
What was the last one that you did that for?
The new Matrix movie. It's been a hot minute, like 2 years maybe.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, like that's probably free streaming somewhere now.
I've been to the movie since then, but it was not my choice really. So
So you're like, what even did I see? I don't remember.
no, I do know it was a Marvel movie. The one with
Ooh,
The Rock in it. The newer one.
that's a DC movie. You're
Same,
hilarious.
same thing. Same thing. Superhero
Don't tell.
movie.
Yeah, yeah. Black Adam. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the Rock's decent. So that was number one. Number one was what's love got to do. Number two. What was number two?
Roll with it.
Roll with it. All right. What did that trailer give you?
All right. So
Mhm.
I wrote some notes. I wrote unsure about this one, and I can't tell if I'd even enjoy watching it.
Mm.
I did not find the trailer interesting at all, and it seems that the plot may be all over the place.
Okay.
Plus, I
Did
didn't
you?
know any of the actors or actresses I saw in it at all.
That's yeah. Okay. So did you glean any kind of plot at all?
Yeah, but I
Okay.
think it's probably like 3, and it doesn't make any sense in my brain. She gets fired. Looks like she's like 40 probably.
Mm-hmm.
Gets fired from her minimum wage job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is apparently single and trying to date,
Mm.
and then finds out her house is being foreclosed on or something like that. So now she needs a bunch of money.
Yeah. So I mean, like a typical like comedy with like something that like you gotta like work towards to get the thing like or else all this bad shit's gonna happen.
It didn't
Um.
look funny.
Yeah. Wow. It I don't quite know that I could qualify a particular genre for this one. Um.
It seems kind of. I probably can't say that.
You
Um,
you could say whatever you want.
seems kind of Jesus-y.
So I'm right there with you, and I didn't realize that going into it, and then I was about
It's
I
like the
want to
first thing
say
I picked up on the trailer.
yeah. I read the description. I didn't see the trailer before I saw it, and then when I was watching it, about 10 minutes in, I'm like, this feels like it would be on Christian Hallmark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, did you kind of get any sense for what she was going to try to do to get this money? Because I you're kind of right. It's kind of all over the place. But if I had to say there was one carrying thread, it's what she's supposed to do to get the money, and it's kind of it's not a very original idea, but it is what it is.
The trailer, I mean, a garage sale. I mean, the only thing I saw was her friend being like, you could have that blow dryer for $5,000. It's like the only thing they showed in regards to her trying to get the money on the trailer.
So at some point, she sings, and people hear her sing, and they're like, "Wow, you're a really good singer. You should sing," but she won't sing. Um,
I
like
forgot about that part. Now that you're saying it, I remember in the trailer.
yeah. So she had a
Karaoke
husband.
competition.
Yeah, she had a husband who died though, and they used to sing together. So like that's her wall. Like she won't sing because she doesn't have him to sing with. Up to and including like, hey, you could sing at this big competition and win the money to save your house. No, I don't want to sing. And I mean that's sort of the carrying thread. People kind of just keep trying to push her towards it, and when it's like the 11th hour, she does it. But yeah, this movie was all over the place. Like you said, it was very clearly made by Christian, like hardcore Christian people because there was no swearing. Like people acted in a way that you would only see in a movie. Like it was not realistic.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that real fast in the trailer.
Yeah. Um, by film's end, like somebody who's like her rival or enemy who has no business helping her by any means, and nothing has happened to like kind of flip this person comes to help her, and it's kind of just like, oh, this happened because you prayed.
Sounds legit.
Yeah. Um, I, for the purposes of this, I have to ask, would you watch it?
No.
If I could unwatch it, I would. I gave this one a low score. Suffice it to say, and I've got nothing against people that have hardcore Christian values. If you really enjoy those kinds of films, this is for you. But I can't recommend this to your average person. Um, and I'm glad that you don't want to see it either, because that means I don't have to convince you to not want to see it. Which that's sort of the purpose here, is to either push you towards good stuff or talk you away from bad stuff. Which is very ironic because I'm calling the very Christian heavy movie the bad stuff. But we'll also save that for another podcast.
It's just a pun.
A little bit, wee bit. The last one. This last movie kind of is sort of tied to something we were talking about a little while ago. It's an adaptation of an anime. I don't know if you knew that watching that trailer, but
Mm-mm.
no. All right.
This one looks more interesting to me than, I know I said superhero movies are all right, but like,
Yeah.
I love the nod to the mythology, but with a spin on it.
Yeah. So what? Which one was our number 3?
Knights of the Zodiac.
Okay. Knights of the Zodiac. So there was some mythology, you say? What sort?
Like I can assume she's one of the main characters, not like the main character, but like reincarnated Athena in like a more modern way. And then there was also other gods, but they didn't like name them. But you could just see during like the war scenes that there were other people who were powerful in the same way as her. And the movie seemed to be about they went and found like this really strong fighter, and they were going to make him her knight. Like his duty is to protect her and make sure that she's safe at all times. Yeah, be an adult. I love the powerful female character dynamic thing. It also, the trailer did a really good job of showing that she was super vulnerable while also having this protective nature over the people around her, which I think is really cool. I also put the nod to there being power behind defending others. Like they tried to make it seem like there was a lot of power behind making sure that other people are safe, not just your own self-preservation. So that's kind of what I picked up from it. I'm not a huge action movie fan, just because I don't like to watch people get killed and beat up all the time. But small bursts of it is fine, which is why I usually do fine with superhero movies, because it's not like the main part of the movie. But
right. And I mean, you were telling me earlier that you were watching Attack on Titan, which has got some amount of like violence.
Right. But it's not what the whole thing is about.
Right. And even though there's like training and there's, a lead up to a battle in this movie, I would say that there's other things going on. So kind of in the same way, it's not the only thing. What did you think of the visuals? Did you like them? Did you not like them?
I don't know. Everything's gotten so good most of the time, as long as they have a decent budget, that it's hard to say I wouldn't like them.
Yeah.
I love that they didn't go traditional with the mythology. Like in one of the scenes, they have her in like a white dress with like, glowing around her, but most of the time she's just like this normal girl. And even like the fight scenes, it doesn't look like everybody has crazy powers and they're just floating around fighting each other in the air kind of thing. There's a little bit, but not a ton. So I feel like maybe giving it a more like this could be real potential behind it, which is kind of cool in my opinion.
So this one was sort of a mixed bag, which I don't want to like say to discourage you because it does sound like it's something that you might consider watching. And I at no point ever want to discourage people from wanting to watch things, especially if they think they're kind of interesting. Um, there's some there's some plot holishness in the movie, like where I think they the reason I ask about the visuals is they kind of focus more about that than maybe on some of the substance of the film that they could have worked some more on. Like at one point we kind of, when she finally gets to flex her muscles, Athena's basically more powerful than anybody in this movie, which for me kind of like made me scratch my head a little bit as to why she needed knights to protect her, because she kind of she kind of doesn't need them. It's the best way I can put it. That female empowerment thing that you were talking about is very much there, to the point that like the knights are almost like set pieces. Like by the end of the movie, they feel that way anyway. Like they have a lot of importance put on them at the start, but it feels diminished by the end. If that
So
makes
my
any sense.
interpretation of the trailer though was that the knights were more or less to keep her from having to fight because she was afraid of killing everyone if she did.
Yeah, that could be. I guess my thought is, yeah, it's cool to have protectors so you don't have to fight, but if the threat is more powerful than your knights, but not more powerful than you, it's kind of like, do you really need the knights?
But
Or
it seemed like she was afraid that she was going to be the threat.
that's a possibility. They definitely. So again, like this was based off an anime called Saint Seiya, because the main knight's name is Seiya, and I think somebody even told me they did like a more recent reboot and called it the same name, like Knights of the Zodiac. Um, it's really it was very visually pleasing, and like there was some actors that you might recognize in it, like
Yeah,
Jean
I
Grey
saw a
from
couple of people. Yeah.
yeah, Jean Grey from the original X-Men, and then there's a guy in there who normally plays a bad guy, and I kept expecting him to be bad, and then he wasn't. I'm like, stop subverting my expectations. But I do think if any of these three movies are things that would be worth seeing on a big screen, this one was probably it. Um, Sometimes that like really, bombastic over the top stuff you see doesn't translate well to the small screen. Do you think that this is something that you would see?
Not in the theaters, but I would see it. Hmm.
As I say, best thing to see on the big screen. You're like, nice, no. That's great.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to the movies for it, probably.
Probably. All right. So that's what that sounds more like, is if somebody asked you to go, you'd be like, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah, but I'm like that with most things.
Right. I mean, like in the vein of like a Marvel movie, like Black Adam, the last Marvel movie we saw.
Shut up. I know you're making
And
fun of me. I don't like it.
I'm not. I'm totally not. I'm helping you learn.
Sure, sure.
Um, I I kind of gave this one like a middle of the road rating. It
Well, I'm wondering
sometimes
if it has more mythology. Like if you know mythology, if it would be better understood. And I'm like very into mythology.
I don't want to spoil any of that for you. Suffice it to say that they set this movie up for more, but at the same time, like with like us talking about how the window like for film releases is a lot smaller now, and this came out a week after Guardians of the Galaxy, which is like dominating. I'm doubtful it'll get a sequel. Um, it's getting it like everything that came out this week is getting overshadowed by Guardians, which is kind of understandable, but kind of like I wouldn't want to be, the guy who made a movie and then release it after a Marvel movie. But so last thing, is there any movies that you are looking forward to, especially given you don't watch as many?
I don't have cable, so I don't see any ads really for movies.
I mean,
I
like,
like I didn't even know
yeah.
the Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, who even watches trailers on TV? They're all on YouTube anyway.
Yeah, I don't. Nope,
I'm sure you watch YouTube sometimes.
not really.
What? Okay. All right. So it's Attack on Titan, and then that's it. Got it.
Uh, Netflix,
Oh,
Hulu
Netflix.
occasionally. Yeah.
Ooh, fair enough. All right. Well, if there is a movie that you end up like actually looking forward to, let me know, because then I'm gonna want to pick your brain on the opinion, especially given that it's, got to be something really like, interesting to catch your gaze. All
Okay.
right. But that being the case, thank you for being on. Thank you for
Yeah.
your opinions and your time. And then this has been another episode of Movies in Minutes. We'll catch you guys
Thank
next
you.
time. Thank you. Bye.
Baby, Dad, you can use some magic.